Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be discussing my February 2025 state of the collection. I currently have a three-piece collection and I keep my watches in this Mirage Luxury travel roll. On the left we have my HGP Diver 200M. In the centre we have my Rolex Submariner date 16610. On the right we have my Traska Commuter 38. So what's changed since my previous State of the Collection review? Well, I sold two pieces, my Watch Dives WD 1969 Pro and my Traska Free Diver. Both of those watches are champagne watches for lemonade money and I really liked them. So if I liked them so much, why did I sell them? Well, I saw this HGP Diver 200M and I immediately fell in love with it. I'll explain why. For several years I fancied buying a Monin 844 case dive piece, and I previously considered the Hoya Diver Professional from the 1980s, and I also considered the CWC RN Diver, which was the successor to the Rolex 5517 Milsub. So why didn't I buy one of those two pieces, the Hoya Diver Professional or the CWC RN Diver? Well, I'll explain why. The problem with the Hoya Diver Professional from the 1980s is they are now over 40 years old, so it's very difficult to find one in excellent condition. So I gave up looking. And I then considered the CWC RN Diver because they're still in production by Cabo Watch Company, CWC. But the thing I dislike about the RN Diver is it uses fixed spring bars which are welded into the lugs. The problem is you therefore have to wear it on a NATO strap. You can't fit it to a bracelet, and I prefer dive pieces on a bracelet rather than NATO strap. So decided against the CWC RN Diver, and I gave up looking for a Monin 844 case dive piece as a result. And then what happened was last year HGP, the brand, came back to life. It died out in the 1980s and then they came back to life last year with this piece, the HGP Diver 200M. And when I saw it had the Monin 844 case, which is iconic, and it came on this beads of rice bracelet, I immediately fell in love with it. So I decided to add it to my personal collection. And I'll give you a wrist shot and I'll explain why I like it so much. Now, in my previous State of the Collection review, I discussed the two most important criteria, the two elements a watch has to meet in order to satisfy adding it to my own personal collection: comfort level and feel-good factor. This satisfies comfort level and it also satisfies feel-good factor. This looks fantastic from every angle. It has the perfection personified bracelet taper, 20 to 16 millimeters. I really enjoy the wrist presence of the 844 Monin case. George's Monin really created a masterpiece with the Monin 844 case. The proportions of it, it's just fantastic. This looks exceptional from every angle. It's sublime. Comfort level is good. Feel-good factor is good. The other thing I really like about it is the brushed satin finish centre links in the bracelet. It gives it a more tool watch aesthetic or military issued aesthetic rather than mirror polished centre links. I always think mirror polished centre links on Jubilee and beads of rice bracelets look more like a dress piece, like a Rolex Datejust. So they do suit on a Datejust, for example, which is a daily wear piece or a dress piece, but I think on a dive piece, brushed satin finish centre links look much better than mirror polished. And it looks more like a Jubilee bracelet than a beads of rice bracelet as a result, and also like the ribs in the centre of the links, which I discussed in my review. So fantastic looking piece. Very comfortable. I'm pleased that I chose the VH31 Mecha Quartz version rather than the automatic, which is NH35A powered, because this is slightly thinner. It's got a nice flat case back, nice curved undercut, close fit to the wrist, but also very low profile, as you can see, 11.3 millimeters thinner than the automatic version. So although it does have wrist presence at 42, the comfort level is good. It's not too tall on wrist. And I absolutely love the look and the feel of the Monin 844 case. Just fantastic. A masterpiece. So, of all the pieces I've owned, this is one of my personal favourites. And of all the watches I've reviewed over 400 watches on my channel. This is one of my personal favourites. It really does capture the essence of champagne watch for lemonade money because it satisfies the two criteria. It's excellent quality and excellent value at €300. And it just goes to show one doesn't need to spend €10,000 on a high-tier piece such as a Rolex Submariner date in order to satisfy comfort level and feel-good factor. This is €300, but it does satisfy comfort level and it does satisfy feel-good factor. The truth is, I get the same amount of pleasure Wearing this piece as my Submariner date 16610 and as my Traska Commuter 38, and they are more expensive pieces. So €300, but it still gives the same level of comfort level and feel good factor. So next we'll look at the king piece of my collection, my Rolex Submariner date 16610. Now, as you'll know from my previous State of the Collection reviews, the first Submariner I owned when I was 21 was the 140-60M. Now, the inspiration for purchasing that piece was Roger Moore wearing a Rolex 5513 Submariner in the James Bond film Live and Let Die. The watch had a buzzsaw bezel and it always stuck in my mind as a cool watch, and that made me want to wear a Rolex Submariner. Now the thing is, when I was 19, the 5513 had been discontinued and it was succeeded by the 140-60, and then it was succeeded by the 140-60M. And the problem was, at 19 I was a university student and I didn't have enough money to buy one. So it actually took me 2 years to save up from 19 to 21 years old to save up the £2,500 needed to purchase a pre-owned 140-60M box and papers piece. And I've talked about this in my previous State of the Collection reviews, but I'll repeat it because it was one of the happiest days of my life. It was the most incredible dopamine rush, the highest of highs, and I can tell you, I can pinpoint that as the precise moment that sparked my interest in watches, and from that day onwards I've always loved the Rolex Submariner and Submariner date. So the 140-60M Submariner and the 16610 Submariner dates you're looking at, they are my two favourite Rolex watches, purely because of the case. I think the 140-60M Submariner Classic case and the 16610 Classic Submariner Dates case you're looking at, Rolex really attained perfection with those cases. They are the greatest dive piece cases ever made. So I love both of those watches. Now, I've previously owned a 16610 before, and often collectors have this belief that if you own a watch and sell it, you should not own it a second time, and I think that's absolute nonsense, because I got feel good factor and I got comfort level from my first 16610. I absolutely loved it. And after that I owned a plethora of Submariner and Submariner date pieces. This is the second time in my life I've owned a 16610, and I can tell you it fully satisfies the comfort level and it fully satisfies feel good factor a second time. I think that if you sell a watch and then you regret it and you want to own it again, then buy it a second time, a third time or a fourth time, etc. It's absolute nonsense to think that you shouldn't buy a watch a second time. If you enjoyed it the first time, enjoy it a second time, enjoy it a third time, and so on. And I absolutely love this piece. Of all the watches I've reviewed, over 400 pieces on my channel, and of all the watches I've owned, and I've owned a plethora of Rolex Submariner and Submariner dates, this is my favourite of them all. If I had to choose one watch, this would be it. I'm never going to sell this watch. I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. I absolutely love this. It's just fantastic. The best looking watch, the best feel good factor, the best comfort level of all the watches I've owned, of all the watches I've reviewed. So I absolutely love the 140-60M Submariner case, and I absolutely love this 16610 case. Perfection personified. And of course it has the perfect 20-16 taper. Just gorgeous looking piece. It's iconic. One of the greatest Rolex watches ever made. Absolutely love it. So king piece of my collection, and I can honestly say that it's just an incredible watch. I think that everything about it just fully satisfies comfort level and feel good factor. So next we'll look at my Traska Commuter 38, which I consider to be the perfect daily wear piece. And again, this fully captures the essence of champagne watch for lemonade money. Now, to put this into perspective, I previously owned a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, which looks very similar, although it was a 41 rather than 38mm, but the dial design of it, and it had a sunburst dial, and also the aesthetics of it. This is very similar to an Oyster Perpetual, but the proportions are better at 38.5mm case diameter versus 41. But having owned an Oyster Perpetual 41, I can tell you the feel-good factor and the comfort level of this piece, the Traska Commuter, is equal. So again, it just goes to show you do not need to purchase a high-tier piece to satisfy comfort level and feel-good factor. This is definitely a champagne watch for lemonade money. It totally captures the essence of it, because It's both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. This really does give the same level of satisfaction as a high tier piece such as a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 or Rolex Oyster Perpetual 39 or a 36, for example. So you really don't need to spend a lot of money to satisfy comfort level or feel good factor. I absolutely love wearing this piece. I previously owned it on the Hirsch camel grain honey strap, and you saw that in my previous State of the Collection review. I like wearing this on a leather strap, and I also like wearing it on the oyster style bracelet equally. And that's the thing I like about it, the versatility, because if you fancy a change, you can wear it on a leather strap and you can also wear it on a bracelet, and it looks good and feels good on both. And again, perfection personified. 20 to 16 taper is the ultimate. It cannot be beaten. On a 38, 39, 40 or even a 42mm head of the piece, 20 to 16 is perfection personified. Visually, it looks fantastic, but in terms of comfort level, it feels balanced. The head of this piece feels perfectly balanced on the bracelet and the micro adjustment clasp. It doesn't feel top heavy. It does have enough wrist presence at 38.5, even on my large 8-inch wrist. So comfort level is sublime. Feel good factor is sublime. Absolutely love it. It's just a gorgeous looking piece. The sunburst dial, the box top hat crystal, the radial sunburst finish to the bezel. I like the large mirror polished bevels to the edge of the case. Everything about it. Gorgeous piece. One of the most satisfying watches I've ever owned. And of all the watches I've reviewed on my channel, this is one of the best. This is the absolute definition of champagne watch for lemonade money. It really is fantastic. So great looking piece and really good satisfaction. And I enjoy it on the leather strap and the bracelet equally. So with regards to these three pieces, they represent three different price points, three different tiers, because the HGP Diver 200M is a low tier piece. The Rolex Submariner Dates 16610 is a high tier piece, and the Traska Commuter 38 is a mid tier piece. The point is, low tier, high tier, mid tier, regardless of the price points, regardless of the tiers, all three of these pieces fully satisfy the two criteria, comfort level and feel good factor. And as I've stated, it proves the point. You don't have to spend €10,000 on a high tier piece in order to satisfy comfort level and feel good factor. This €300 HGP Diver 200M does that. My Rolex Submariner Dates 16610, which was new old stock at €14,500, does that. This Traska Commuter 38 at €600 does that too. So low tier, high tier, mid tier piece, you can get comfort level and feel good factor from all. The truth is, I enjoy wearing these three pieces equally. I don't have a favourite piece, I enjoy all of them, but if I had to choose one piece to wear for the rest of my life only, I would choose my Rolex Submariner Date 16610. That is my favourite Rolex piece of them all. But I really enjoy the HGP Diver 200M, and I also really enjoy the Traska Commuter 38. So I would highly recommend all three of these pieces to you. The HGP is a champagne watch for lemonade money. The Traska is a champagne watch for lemonade money. Now, of course, I can't say that about the Rolex Submariner Dates 16610 because it's expensive, but all three watches satisfy comfort level and feel good factor. Is there anything else I fancy adding to my collection? Yes. I would really like a daily wear piece with an enamel blue dial, or alternatively a traffic blue dial. I previously have owned a plethora of sunburst blue dial watches, and I really like enamel blue and also matte blue dials in a traffic blue tone. The problem is I can't find anything that satisfies what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a 39 or a 40mm piece with either an enamel blue, navy blue dial, or alternatively traffic blue matte style. And I've been searching for something because I would like, my ideal watch would be a Traska Commuter 38, for example, but with an enamel blue dial in navy blue, or alternatively traffic blue in a matte finish. But unfortunately Traska do not make one. So in the meantime, I'm fully enjoying this sunburst silver one. But I just fancy a blue dial piece, because I think as a fourth piece, I don't want another black dial dive piece, and I don't want another silver sunburst dial piece. I just fancy more variety. So I'm still looking for a fourth piece, and I haven't found it, but I'm continuing to look. Unfortunately, I can find sunburst blue pieces that I fancy, but I've previously owned them before, and I just can't find an enamel blue dial piece that really satisfies what I'm looking at. But in the meantime, these three pieces satisfy comfort level and feel good factor. Absolutely love wearing them, and I'm very happy with this three-piece collection. So I hope you've enjoyed my February 2025 State of the Collection review. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.